Hello, and welcome back to Genshin Impact Story Time. Yes. Be fixed in 2.7. Oh boy. Oh yeah, by the way, if you didn't know, I have Ayaka. In the previous session. This is my vaporized build, but pretty sure I need someone else other than Shinyan. Yes. Moving on. What books are we up to today? Toki Alley Tales. That's gonna take a while. I only have 2 and 5. I'm still searching for those. So, let's do the New Chronicles of the Six Kitsune. Apparently. I can do these 3. Princess Mina, The Fallen Nation, the Byakyo Koku collection as well. Ooh, I want to get to that. Alright, Volume 1. Stories about memories are always closely intertwined with transience. This book is not all new, but is an adaptation of Urakusai's Chronicles of the Six Kitsune. Urakusai, that sounds familiar. I think that was Yae Miko's old friend. Yes. Anyway, Prologue. Stories relating to memory always seem to have to do with those moments where you gain something and lose it straight away. If you're wondering how I came to write about it, it's hardly the most exciting story. That night, I was drinking and killing time at the Uyu restaurant when I happened to run into an old friend that I hadn't seen in forever. I don't know when she arrived, but at some point I suddenly noticed her sitting there in one of the booths. My, now who could this be, sitting there in such a good mood, yet drinking all alone? Since she was asking, I thought I might as well mutter something in response. The best liquor comes at the highest price, and sometimes that price is waiting alone. I've definitely heard that one before. Still as boring as ever, I see. Thus remarked the chief editor as she stood there with a liquor cup in hand, looking very enthusiastic about the prospect of having a drink or two. Why not earn yourself some drinking money? It's not like you've got anything better to do. Tonight, though, the drinks are on me. She laughed and reiterated this a couple more times. You're back. You're back. I watched as the evening breeze brought a few flower petals from the sacred sakura and landed them in her cup, making ripples that disturbed the reflection of the moon. Overcome by a strong sense of deja vu, my mouth took it upon itself to proceed with an utterance that would prove to be something of an embarrassment to my brain. You're drunk. She didn't look very happy to hear that, and retorted with a firm and defiant tone in her voice, but her countenance quickly changed again as she placed her cup down on the table and let out a sigh. I wasn't even born yet when she left. When she left. I'm assuming she's talking about the old shrine priestess. Yes. There was a kitsune shrine priestess before her, before Yae. Maybe they're talking about that. and I was still in my youth back then. You must be the only one still able to recite the story she once told. And just like that, I found myself roped into writing for the Yai Publishing House one more time. It's quite amusing, now that I think about it. To my faithful readers, please don't be upset. This should not be taken to mean that I am committed to no longer writing, save for when it becomes a selfish indulgence. After all, there is some great liquor that's soon to decrease in price, and I have to make sure I'm prepared. Besides, I have to pay the chief editor back for the wine she so kindly bought me that night. The story of the Black Fox, Itaru, was actually the third volume in the original Urakusai's Chronicles of the Six Kitsune. It appears at the front of this edition due to the writer's personal preference. Forgive my garrulousness, but there are still some things to get out of the way before the story begins in earnest. Why the new Chronicles of the Six Kitsune? Naturally, the word new here presumes the existence of an old. This book is a slightly revised edition of Urakusai's Chronicles of the Six Kitsune, which enjoyed a period of great popularity 500 years ago. I possess but limited writing skills and can only hope that Urakusai and my other readers will peruse these pages with forgiving eyes. Urakusai was already famous when I was but a small child. By that time, the Saigu had already taken great interest in Urakusai's literary abilities and expertise on tea, making Urakusai one of the most cultured and sophisticated of all the kitsune. Yeah, I think he was a kitsune as well, because that's the second time I mentioned that of the kitsune, you know. Unfortunately, that is all in the past now. Urakusai made a grave mistake and had to leave. It has now been 500 years since then. Grave mistake? 500 years? Again? What did he do? Maybe something to do with Kanaria. Without further ado, the story of the new Chronicles of the Six Kitsune begins on the towering Mount Yogo. Legend has it that in the time of the great Kitsune Hakushin, she had 6 apprentices. All were greatly skilled in magic and in shape-shifting. Day to day, they were tasked with assisting their matriarch, Hakushin, in managing the shrine and defending Mount Yogo. The eldest of the 6 was Itaru the Black Fox, who, unlike most other females, was built as broad as a bear and as strong as a tiger. She also had a wild and unruly personality. One day, she was being drunk and disorderly in the main hall of the shrine and destroyed a shintai that represented the shogun. Incensed, Hakushin banished Itaru from the mountain for a period of much-needed self-reflection. But Black Fox Itaru was all too happy to leave the mountain behind. She put Hakushin's warnings completely out of her mind, found a bottle of good quality liquor and headed straight for the nearest village to look for trouble. This volume recounts the clash between Black Fox Itaru and the twin Oni of Tokaku. This tale was missing from the original text, but it was fortunately rediscovered at a later date. It is presented here in an edited form. Continuing where we left off, Black Fox Itaru was on her way to the village looking for trouble when she saw 2 women standing on the side of the road dressed like lumberjacks. Both had 3 blades hanging from their waist, a 7-foot-long nodachi, akodachi, and wakizashi. They were armed to the teeth, and they weren't hiding it. As her big, bulky silhouette approached from a distance, the ground shook and dust went flying with each step she took, all of which put the 2 women on high alert. They grasped the hilts of their blades, ready to draw them at any moment, and asked in unison, "Who are you? Are you a yokai?" The silhouette answered, "Ha ha! That's exactly what I am. Without hesitation, the two women immediately drew their swords and stepped forward, intending to slay Itaru. But this was one yokai they had underestimated. She dodged their attacks in a single step, grabbed their wrists, and twisted them as she turned sideways, sending both of their 7-foot-long Nodachi clattering to the ground. Alarmed by the pain, the two reached for the Kodachi. They were too late. Itaru sent one of them flying to the ground with an almighty slap, while placing the other into a headlock. Then she grabbed the one under her arm by the scruff of the neck and lifted her up to the air, placing her foot on the other's chest to pin her to the ground. The twin Oni of Tokaku, looks like neither of you have learned anything from the beating I gave you last year for harassing the villagers. When the two bandits heard this, they panicked and started begging for their lives. Black Fox Itaru threw them to the ground and began to speak. Fair enough. Well, I'm a masterless yokai now that I've been banished from the mountain by Hakushin. Why don't the two of you join me, who go around helping those in need? It'll be fun. Okay. 4. In the 500-year-old Urakusai's Chronicles of the Six Kitsune, Yozan and Yui went on to have their own tales, but at this time the mother-daughter pair are still reliant on Itaru to rescue them. Continuing where we left off, Black Fox Itaru successfully tamed the bandit duo, the twin Oni of Tokaku. And the three set off on their new journey of chivalry. As the chivalric trio was resting in Konda village, they ran into a mother and daughter. After striking up a conversation, they learned that the mother's surname was Yozan, the daughter's given name was Yui, and both were musicians from a distant Seirai island, visiting in a Seirai island. Oh, over there? Huh. Visiting in Azuma City to join in the festival. On their way, they had been scammed by a lavender melon seller from the village. He had offered them a few melons to quench their thirst, ostensibly out of the goodness of his heart. Before then insisting that they purchase more of his melons at an extortionate price. But touring musicians aren't exactly wealthy, and they couldn't afford to spend the entirety of their budget for the return trip on overpriced melons. The twin Oni of Tokaku are an impulsive pair. Upon hearing the story, they instantly began fuming with rage, and unanimously decided they needed to teach this dishonest merchant a lesson by cutting him into tiny pieces. But Black Fox Itaru had another idea, and spoke up to stop the two sisters. Enough, I know what to do. She comforted the mother and daughter. You two have nothing to worry about. Just watch. I'll talk to the merchant, and he'll come to his senses. Itaru marched off to look for the dishonest merchant. This is the tensest tale of the series, said to have been written by Urakusai upon his return from Lia. It is featured in full in this writer's adaptation. Continuing where we left off, Black Fox Itaru marched off to talk some sense into the dishonest merchant. The lavender melon merchant Dozayamon. Okay, I was once a samurai, both peace having prevailed in Inazuma for so long, his sword skills offered no further use, so he became a merchant in the village instead. After learning a few swindler's tricks, such as extortion, intimidation, and judicious use of his fierce appearance, no one dared confront him no matter how much he took from them. Over time, he had become one of the wealthiest people in the village. On this day, Dozayamon was relaxing in front of his shop when all of a sudden he saw dust flying and felt the ground shaken. Then a shadow large enough to dwarf his shop slowly fell over his face. Hey, I want to buy some melons. Dozayamon narrowed his eyes and sized up the muscular, fierce-looking and ill-mannered customer standing over him like an executioner, before finally realizing, oh, she's a woman. How many? Apparently, this customer was in no hurry to answer. She was too busy admiring his wakizashi, which was lying on the chopping board. Mighty fine blade you got there. You got that right. I'll have you know I'm from a samurai clan. It's only fitting that I keep an heirloom nearby. The Diamond went along with the conversation, unaware of where it was heading. Shame it's wasted on chopping melons. The Diamond sensed that this was an intentionally barbed remark, and he did not look happy about it. What's with all the chit-chat? Are you buying melons or not? Oh, I am. Itaru smiled at Dozaemon as a gesture of apology. 4 pounds of chopped lavender melon, without the skins, please. Dozaemon's suspicions were aroused, but he did not question the request. He promptly chopped 4 pounds of melon and placed it onto the scale. Hey, how come your scale's all wonky? Dozaemon grasped his blade the moment Itaru said this. Well, isn't that something? This scale's got a mind of its own. Glad you're so amused, but it's time to pay up now. The Diamond could no longer hold back his anger. The time for pleasantries was over. It was time to talk sense. I don't have a problem with paying you what you're due. I'm just not sure you'd be able to take it. Oh, don't you worry. I'll take whatever you've got to give. Sure about that? Try me! Suddenly, Itaru yelled, Take this! And threw a bag full of Mora directly at Dozaemon's face. Dozaemon didn't react in time and took the full force of the impact square on the nose. He fell backwards onto the ground as his precious wakizashi went flying from his hand and fell beside him. On closer inspection, his nose had been squashed completely flat by the bag of Mora. It looked just like the kind of pouch one might use to store a pipe, only without the pipe inside. What? Itaru walked over and pressed her foot down on the dishonest merchant's chest. Without a word, she hit Dozaemon so hard it felt like a Liu martial arts tournament was being hosted on his face. With great difficulty, he fought to get back on on his feet. But just as he had stood up and grabbed his blade, Itaru noticed and landed another ferocious blow onto his head. This time it hit so hard that a pair of tanuki ears popped out in response. He began to beg for mercy. Itaru burst out laughing at the sight in front of her. The merchant is a yokai in disguise, and a filthy tanuki at that. Itaru promptly confiscated the tanuki's stolen wakizashi, distributed most of its ill-gotten wealth among the villagers, and handed the rest over to the mother and daughter who had fallen victim to his scheme earlier. Itaru spared the tanuki's life, albeit not without some reluctance, and continued on her way. Ah, so it was actually a tanuki. Commentary regarding ancient matters that was specially added to the new Chronicles of the Six Kitsune. If you find it an insipid, monotonous slog, dear reader, you may skip this volume. But as far as the author is concerned, this is one waste of words and emotion that cannot be avoided. What? We shall bring the anecdotes of Black Fox Itaru to a close for now. Please forgive me for nagging, but I have some old matters I wish to comment on. Now, it is no longer well known how exactly Urakusai angered Lady Saigu at the time. However, Lady Yai did offer to tell me some snippets of the history she experienced after having between 2 and 8 drinks. This is a novel, of course, so I naturally would like to turn these words into a story of what history has not recorded. When the Kitsune Saigu departed from the Hakushin lands to take up her post at the Grand Narukami Shrine, Lady Yai still had yet to be born. As such, her early years were filled with stories and tales about Saigu, and she loved and respected her greatly. Ah, yes, see? This is also why Lady Yai would eventually come to the Grand Narukami Shrine herself after embarking on her own travels. Due to their closeness by blood, Lady Saigu doted upon Lady Yae quite a bit, though Lady Yae speaks as little as possible about those times as she may nowadays. And while I, as a novelist, write to entertain, I shall refrain from revealing too much about Lady Yae's past, lest I suffer under the editor-in-chief's mighty pen. But back to Urakusai. It is no longer clear how Urakusai angered Lady Saigu back in the day, but it is known that his deeds may have had some connection to the later incursion of the Abyss. Indeed. However, after Urakusai had been driven out, the Kitsune Saigu would no longer dwell at the Grand Narukami Shrine, but would instead set up permanent residence at the Tenshukaku. A disaster that will engulf heaven and earth is coming. My duty is to defend the people and protect our lord, and so I must go to the shogun's side. When Lady Saigu departed the second time, Lady Yae was but a young girl. The person she had pursued all this time now left her again. It was not until the untimely disaster swept across the archipelago that we understood the meaning of Lady Saigu's words, but it was too late, and things had not turned out as we would have wished. This time Lady Saigu left a third time. This time she departed forever. 5 centuries may seem long to mortals, but the joys and sorrows left by the things that had happened during that time, whether to fleeting existences or enduring ones, are not easy to erase. Yeah. I guess Makoto was still alive when Saigu was there. I think was it that Makoto died first, then it was Saigu? I think it's the other way around. This was from Raiden Shogun's Story Quest, Part 2, Act 2. Oh well, moving on. Princess Mina of the Fallen Nation. We'll do this, we'll read this, and then I'll take a little break. Do something else in the meantime for me to recoup my throat. Volume 1. The princess who was prophesied to bring destruction witnesses the imminent fall of her nation, and it is at this moment when a wandering warrior descends from the skies, ignorant of the truth. The pair's journey amidst the fires of an ancient warring period about to begin. 13 years of peace were had before the era of warring states began. Warring states, huh? The nations of the north, furthest from the epicenter, at last became infected by the spirit of the age, hurling themselves into the flames of war. As it is with most wars, a loser would be decided after a fierce conflict. Their cities were cast down into flaming rubble, and their nobles and their supporters fled into the mountains. Such a backdrop is hardly anything special. But into that inflection point of an era strode a wandering samurai dressed in luxurious robes. No, rather than luxurious, perhaps it was more accurate to say that these robes were... Yes, that's right. It was a man dressed as a woman. In contrast, this samurai was accompanied by a petite girl wearing a haori that was large to the point of incredulity. In any case, they were a suspicious pair for sure. However, the two of them sauntered up to the checkpoint at the foot of the mountains as if unaware of this fact. Of course, they were immediately stopped by the Ashigaru guarding the checkpoint. "Who are you?" This was a standard thing to say, but it was also an honest question in this case. "As you can see, we're just ordinary passers-by." It was a reply with no powers of persuasion. But the Ashigaru who asked almost seemed to hesitate the sheer lack of doubt in the samurai's tone. Well, could I ask you to come with me anyway? That didn't work, huh? The samurai almost seemed disappointed. Suddenly 3 Ashigaru fell to the ground. You planned to do this all along, didn't you, you horrible knave? The girl grumbled softly from the rear. A princess who brings destruction. Huh, isn't that just an excuse for making war? They travel to the center of the world in search for the truth behind the prophecy. The super popular romantic adventure continues. That's not it. These words burst out suddenly. In the nameless mountain shrine, the black-haired princess sat still. Her face flickered between light and shadow in the face of a flame. What do you mean that's not it? Came the reply almost as a conditioned reflex. What I mean, you dumb samurai, is, don't you have any thoughts concerning me, the princess who brings destruction? Thoughts? Well, I think you're quite the character for one. I don't mean thoughts in that sense. Princess Mina sounded quite exasperated now. I mean with regards to saving me. Strictly speaking, I didn't save you, the samurai corrected. At that time you ordered me to take you away in your capacity as princess. In that sense, you saved yourself. Is that how you see it? An unexpected reply. Well, the samurai thought it had been worth a shot trying to dodge responsibility. In any case, this princess who brings destruction nonsense. Huh, isn't that just an excuse for making war? The samurai's lackadaisical tone shifted. Also, the samurai turned around, void-like eyes now aflame. Destroying the world is an utterly stupid concept. You'll understand soon enough. What the fuck is going on? The two who have entered the field of battle finally witnessed the true Avicii. The truth behind the fires of war that have swept across the world will be revealed here. This volume comes with some super value-added extras. Comes with a free toothbrush. Ooh. People call war hell, but most are just describing it as such. What appeared before their eyes can only truly be called hell. The desolate earth, the withered trees, and the people like the shambling dead. It was like the life had been wrung from this place. Huh. The samurai picked a husk of a leaf. It crumbled into dust immediately, floating away on the wind. It seems like the life has literally been run out of this place. Conflict had raged around the capital for over a century now. After the first decade, the resources and riches of the various warring nations had already been all but spent. The thing that had sustained the bloodshed for so long was something known as Nakura's Hex. Nakura's Hex was a terrifying sorcery that sucked the life of all living things and the land itself dry, giving it unto powerful samurai and feeding the war effort. And those who used such depraved magics to dominate the land were scoundrels known as the Nakura Daimyo. The daimyo vied for dominance, but no matter who won, the earth would be further robbed of life. This was the true face of the war that had raged for nearly a century now. And the ones who created the hex are the Onmyoji who dwell in the Sky Tower, at the center of the world. Ignoring Princess Mina, who had wavered at the sight before her eyes, the samurai continued faintly. "Oh, Princess, who brings destruction? Has the world not already been destroyed?" Go back to hell, you jumped up vengeful spirit. The riveting flashback chapter. What lies within the warrior's buried past? Here comes a new chapter in the adventures of the princess who lost her nation and the warrior. Did she lose the warrior as well? The nation of Kogami. A lifeless wasteland as far as the eye could see. The barren fields stretched out into the horizon. Around a large sand dune, where the two samurai faced each other. One of them is our protagonist, and shall be named the Green Samurai to distinguish him from his compatriot. The other is a new arrival to the story. We shall name him the Pale Samurai. This were a swashbuckler's tale, and they would have already taken up battle stances. But the two were not here to have a decisive match. They were just facing each other. Come back from hell, did you? The Pale Samurai said, the weight of time unknowable lying between them. Nostalgic, isn't it? The Green Samurai seemed quite happy. I don't get nostalgic over such things, the Pale Samurai interrupted rudely. Green Samurai closed their eyes as if sinking into the abyss of the past. This will all end as long as we defeat the evil overlords. That's what we believed then. Naive fools that we were. That was just the beginning of the nightmare. The 13 samurai banded together to defeat the Nakura daimyo who had been destroying this nation. But Kogami did not revive with the daimyo gone, and the life force of the land continued to bleed away. Not only that, Kogami, now bereft of its ruler, became a paradise for those who would plunder it. The heroes who had defeated the wicked overlord could not protect it in the end either. In the end, only 2 escaped. Hey now, cut the reminiscence out for a second. We've got things to settle, don't we? Go back to how you jumped up, vengeful spirit. The same shit. I want to save this world, Princess Mina said. I've told you many times before, there's no such thing as saving this world. Now this hasn't stopped idiots like me from trying, of course, but this world, it's doomed. I don't care. I'm a princess. Aren't princesses born to save the world? No, I've never heard of any story that goes like that, and last I heard you are the princess who brings destruction. Last I heard, someone said that this destruction is actually the birth of a new life. Well, I don't know. I don't where you heard that one. I don't where you heard that one? Academic game? Fix your shit. Well, I don't know where you heard that one, but such beliefs are old hat by now. Old hat? If you wrote this drivel nowadays, people would chuck it into the nation of Tokyo. And that would be for the best. Princess covers her ears. At the top of the sky tower, the samurai and the princess argued in futility, as if no one was watching. Well, I say that, but in fact, there were quite a few other folk about dressed in the garb of onmyoji. So, as you all know, Nakura's hex was originally created to preserve the vitality of a world that was slowly declining. As if unable to stand the conversation and also to push the plot forward in their role as an NPC. What? The oldest onmyoji finally spoke. That which can utilize this stored vitality. So, could you get these thoughts out of your head? The samurai didn't seem to have heard the wizened onmyoji at all. How long was this fast going to continue? So the onmyoji they got to the onmyoji place, But they're just arguing and not listening to the Omioji because they can't really hear them. The truth of the world is revealed, and what a terrible joke it is. Even when separated, the two cannot escape the chains of fate. This may be the final volume of Princess Mina of the Fallen Nation, but our story isn't over yet. So, was the world saved? As the story's end, At the story's end, the samurai walked amidst a boundless desert. The Sky Tower's plans were probably complete by now, and vitality remaining in the world had all been stored up. There was no knowing if a new world had been created, but this one was most certainly done for. What could one expect of a princess destined to destroy the world? Might as well destroy another world, if it exists. And so the samurai embarked on a new journey. The remainder of this book concerns the story's setting. It features in large part of the various wicked overlords and monstrous creatures that did not appear in the main narratives of the novel. What? I am confused. Anyway. This fucking thing. I think I'll keep finding this mole pucker. Yeah. I'm tempted to keep wishing on Ayaka's banner because I'm after Sayu and Rosaria. Also Sayu. Let's see. What does Rosaria give me? Hits generate energy. Yep. Can only be triggered once each time ravaging confession. What's ravaging confession again? Okay, it's charge. Yeah, I can see that. Rights of termination, don't care. Tank decreases opponent's physical resistance. That's not exactly necessary. Well, maybe it is. Okay. Might as well go C6. Of course, I have to actually get C6. Just need 2 more of this, and I get this. Oh shit. You aren't Regina Flurry. Benefit from my elemental mastery. Shit. Before version 2.6 ends. It's important that I wish, but I don't want to wish too much. So I need 3 Rosarias and 2 Sayus. And also, 1 Razor at least. But I don't know, should I? Fuck it. Well, that's 1. Let's do it one more time. This will be the last time. Disappointing. I have perception. Normal and charged attacks have a 50% chance to fire a bolt of perception, dealing 240% attack as damage. Mounts between 4 opponents once every 12 seconds. So it's an AoE type of thing. I suppose it's okay, it gives you attack. Oh yeah, and I was supposed to do this. Huh. I can do that next time. I'll just read the books now.
熱々でしょせいしはっよっあたいのくせい反逆の歌を奏でろあたしとは甘く見ないはっ料理の時間だよ桜吹雪踊りなさいもっと熱くなれ熱々でしょリズムに乗れるかいロックの時間だぞ失礼
Oh, would you look at that? That actually looks pretty dang good. It would be better if there's attack percentage. But I'm pretty sure it's going to give me defense. Flat defense. I don't even know why I laugh. I think it's because in disbelief. Anyway. What is this anyway? A certain native servers come on display to allow you to conduct a certain brand of research. Help her complete this research and find rewards shall be yours. Yeah, I'll do it next time. $22. $21. Oh wait, there was that boss in the chasm, right? Yeah, it's small pucker. I guess go fight him. Alright, need one of these. bastard.
しよっ捕まえたにゃそれ
Oh my god, that's so damn annoying.
反逆の歌を奏でろ。もっと熱くなれ。リズムに乗れるかい？よっ。捕まえたにゃ。出発出発。
I couldn't get out.
話が通じないなら叩くまでで。捕まえたにゃ。乗り継ぎだよ。料理の時間だよ。失礼。無礼者。取った。雪を前。火花を散らせ。ほっせい。あたいの最強の音を聞け。踊りなさい。にゃっよっ。
just sit still, I would have a much easier time.
完成しなさいよこれはっ料理の時間だよほっよっ
Jesus Christ. What an annoying son of a bitch. Don't remember him being that annoying last time. Shit. No. Gonna deal with this guy again.
Atsu-atsu でしょロックの時間だぞリズムに乗れるかい雪を前やっすっはっ踊りなさいグオパー火を吹けもっと熱くなれうわ私を甘く見ないでリオナの特熱々でしょほっしゅ反逆の歌を奏でろよリズムに乗れるかい雪を前神里流消滅踊りなさい料理の時間だよほっロックの時間だぞリズムに乗れるかい捕まえたにゃ完成しなさいよバレさん取った雪を前火花を散らせ反逆の歌を奏でろもっと熱くなれ踊りなさいすっ
Take it, you damn bastard. I think I'm gonna go collect some sakura blooms because I need sakura blooms. Oh yeah, I was supposed to find bosses. You know what? I'll do it next time. Actually, I'll do it tomorrow. That doesn't have to be on stream.
逃がさないわよ。こういう天気の日はお茶を入れて雨を眺めながら腰掛けているのが一番よ。ちょっとビリビリさせないとね。
Is that enough? 2 more.
刀は こういう天気の日はお茶を入れて雨を眺めながら腰掛けているのが一番よ。
What the hell? Just flash rained? What the fuck? Well, just go to the most obvious place. Geronimo! There we go. These ones extra pink or something. Anyway, that'll do, that'll do.
刀は技を支え、匠は宝を有す。
Very nice. Alright, that'll do. I have no more resin. Let us go back to the pot. Time to read some Byakurokoku shit. Hope you're ready. Hope you're ready for this knowledge. After I'm finished with Byakurokoku, that'll be the end of the stream. I might as well check some achievements. The Stranding of the Beagle. Explore Watatsumi Island following the footsteps of an unknown researcher. Apparently. Yeah, I just read some notes, I guess. That's why I thought I followed the footsteps, but you know, it's just some random notes. Destroying 2 oozing concretions with 1 blooming light during a battle against the ruined serpent. Yes. Should start a Doshin Dojo. Help Asakura train 5 times. Oh, 100%. Lightning Riding Treasure Hunter 1. Open 300 chests on Narukami Island, Kanazuka, and Yashiori Island in Inazuma. Does that mean I've gotten all of them? All the chests? That'd be great if it is. Kujo insignia. This Tri-Commission house crest represents the Tenryou Commission's Kujo clan. Nice. Is this Stone Harbor Nostalgia series? I have no idea what the hell this is. In Cliffhanger. What? Zarevich's commissions flawlessly. And reliable helper. Ah yes. I was never able to do that. Gather intelligence concerning stationary tales of winter. Well, didn't get to finish that either. Those are just random commissions, which I guess you just gotta do it real well. Clear 412. Well, it's pretty difficult, don't you know? Anyway, Ryokyokoku. Let's do it. The Serpent and Drakes of Tokoyokoku. A novel based on Watatsumi Island's folktales. The original edition of this text was transcribed on Watatsumi Island and brought back to Narukami Island by a merchant, while the former serpent god yet lived. No one reads this ancient tome nowadays. Its role supplemented by all the light, supplanted by all the light novels in on the market. This book describes the unique cosmological outlook of the Watatsumi people before they came to adopt aspects of Narukami culture, and a recent resurgence in traditional novel publishing has allowed it to see the light of day once more. Mysteries creation conceals. The sun and moon omens reveal. 3 corners in darkness shrouded, the void by 5 saints clouded. The universe has no beginning and no end, and so it was with the land that once was. But this matters not to us, for the land that bears us no longer has anything to do with that eternity without start or ceasing. So said the lone sage Aberaku to the first Sunchild. The Sunchild had long intended to punish Aberaku. Summoning the sage before the throne in this manner was but an additional way of making things difficult for him before detaining him. Legend has it that Aberaku was opened up to wisdom by Tokuyo Okami, and was thus able to bring light to Enkanomiya, which had till then never seen the sun. But the Sunchild grew jealous of his talents, thus imprisoning him for life. Yet these children of the sun never considered that, had Aberaku not created that underground star, they never would have existed in the first place. The origin of heaven and earth is like the chicken and egg, and not dragons and snakes kin. No sooner had the sage Aberaku uttered these words than he was overthrown by troops lying in ambush. At that time, Enkanomiya had only just been bought some room to breathe by the appearance of the sun. The Dragonaires loved the dark and shunned the light, and thus could no longer act with impunity. The days when the Dragonaires would rampage and graze upon humanity like so much grass had at last come to an end. But the people of Enkanomiya finally had the means to resist. Yet it came to pass that the flaws in human nature would rear their ugly heads even before such outside threats could be quelled. The people chose a Sunchild, crowned him king, and worshipped him, and yet he ruled with a brutal hand, framing the righteous. Unnumbered years would pass before a young child of Enkanomiya would make a wager with his peers. Alone he would dive beyond the three corners, evading the trail of the Dragonaires, in search of a dragon-bone flower. But what he found instead within a great cavern was a mighty serpent, one he had never seen before. Somehow, as he gazed upon the serpent's titanic form, the child felt no fear, but instead a kind of kinship. I am the profane serpent, though my servants are numberless. Not one mortal now dwells in my shadow. That I have fallen into this realm, and that we should meet. Perhaps this is fate. You are not one of my people, but you are human nonetheless. Speak your desire, and I shall hear it. Could you then, perchance, become our god? Thus did they, human and serpent, go forth to face the royal authority of the Sunchild, and the incursions of the Dragonaires beyond. Thus was the curtain raised on the turning of the tide. What? They had no god, but they found a big ass snake. They asked it to be its god. Okay, why not? Before sun and moon. A chronicle that ordinary folk have been forbidden to read. The writing is a mix of fables and histories from the beginning of the world to the creation of the Dainichi Mikoshi. All we wish to record is the tale of how heaven's will took shape on the earth below. O heavenly gods, these creatures are your works. Grant us divine wisdom. Let us endlessly record. When the doves held branches, when the eternal throne of the heavens came, the world was made anew. Then the true Lord, the primordial one, came forth and did battle against the 7 terrifying sovereigns, dragon lords of the old world. 7, huh? The primordial one created shining shades of itself, and the number of these shades was 4. 4 shades. O Unfanes, or the primordial one. The primordial one may have been Fanes. He had wings and a crown, and was birthed from an egg. The androgynous in nature, that for the world to be created, the eggshell had to be broken. However, Fanes, the primordial one, used the eggshell to separate the universe and the microcosm of the world. Okay. So Fanes put the world inside an egg, and the universe was outside the eggshell. 40 years after the held branches, 40 winters entombed the flames, and 40 summers churned the seas. The 7 sovereigns were vanquished. and the 7 nations submitted to the heavens. The primordial one, the great sovereign, began the creation of heaven and earth for our sake, that of its creations which it cherished most, who would soon appear upon this earth. So the 7 sovereigns. I don't think those are the Archons. I think those were before the Archons. They might have been gods, but they were not Archons. "400 years after the held branches, the mountains and rivers were made, and the seas and oceans accepted those who rebelled and those who would not kneel. The primordial one and one of its shades created the birds of the air, the beasts of the earth, and the fish of the sea. Together they also created flowers, grass, and trees, before finally creating humans, our ancestors, numerous as the stars in the sky, uncountable as the sand on the shore. From that time our ancestors made a covenant with the primordial one, and so entered into a new age. The year of the Ark's opening, the primordial one had a sacred plan for humans. As long as they were happy, it too rejoiced. The year after the Ark's opening, the people worked the land, and so came the first harvest. The people mined, and so reaped the first crop of precious ore. The people gathered, and the first poems were written. The year of Jubilee. If there was hunger, the heavens would bring down food and rain. If there was poverty, the earth would bring forth its riches. If melancholy were to spread, the heavens would reply with their voices. The one taboo was to succumb to temptation, but the path to temptation had already been sealed. The funerary year. The second throne of the heavens came, and war was rekindled. As it was in the world's creation, that day the heavens collapsed and the earth was rent asunder. Our ancestors and their ancestral land fell into this place during that conflict. The era of darkness had begun. First year of darkness. First year of darkness. Funerary year. The heavens collapsed and earth was rent asunder. Our ancestors and their ancestral land fell into this place during that conflict. Fell? I have a feeling that's like Kanria, the darkness. But it's also called the funerary year. Maybe. This first year of darkness, the people of the 7 sovereigns had found refuge in the oceans, and the dragonaires of the depths ruled this particular place, which led to war between them and our ancestors. Our ancestors chased them into the shadows with the light of 1,000 lanterns, and they hid in those shadows, hunting us. There was only darkness in this place, and so their hunting grounds were untrammeled. Prayers of the people turned into lamentations, but the primordial one and its 3 other shining shades could not hear. The parable of the sun. In a dark cavern there lived a group of people who had never seen the light. Among them was a sage who had once seen the sun, and he told the gathered folk about what the life under the sun was like, and about the great might of the sun. Seeing that they did not comprehend, he lit a torch, and thus did people come to worship the flame, believing it to be the sun. They even got used to a life of darkness and fire. When the sage died, someone would monopolize the flame. Using it, they would cast a long shadow over the land. The parable of the Lethe-eyed lotus. A lotus that causes all who look upon it to forget their troubles. A ship captain searching for the way back to the surface discovered a tribe of people who ate these lotuses. Some crew members stayed in that place, others rejected that temptation. Life is a boundless ocean of suffering. We are only searching for the way home. The third year of darkness. We knew the only one who had not forsaken us as the ruler of time. She was the moment. She was every moment. She was the measure of 1,000 winds, and the sun and the moon. She was every second of joy, every moment of rage, every instant of longing, every minute of obsession. She was every flash of delirium. We call her Kairos, the ruler of the unchanging world. We dare not speak her true secret name, and so I pen it here, only once and in reverse. Urashi is Istaroth. Kairos or Istaroth. Intermesty. The year of blindness. The sage Abrax's wisdom was awakened, and he unveiled a light, bringing miracle from within his hand. So our ancestors began to build the Helios, with him as their leader. The year of sight, or the first year of the sun and moon. Helios, the divine chariot of the sun, was finally completed. The white night came, and the ever night was banished. The years of the sun and moon had begun. The second year of sun and moon, our ancestors sought the returning way, for surely the war on the surface had ended by then. But the primordial one, the first throne, had laid down a ban, preventing our ancestors from finding the path home. In that case, the primordial one must have defeated the second who came. Abrax was imprisoned by order of the Sunchild. The parable of the tree. The king's gardener and the tree spirit of the royal garden were in love, but the king wished to repair the beams of his pavilion, and so needed to cut down the tree with the most spiritual energy within it. The king was the incarnation of the primordial one, and the gardener could not defy the sovereign of sovereigns, and so he could only bring his plea to the king's priest, who was the incarnation of Tokuyo Okami. The priest had pity on the gardener and said to him, "Go and cut the branches of the spirit tree down." The gardener did so, and afterward did as the king ordered, cutting the spirit tree itself down. Then the priest said, "Plant the spirit tree's branches in the ground." But the gardener said, "A spirit tree shall take 500 years to grow." The priest said, "Your one thought shall echo through eternity." And so the gardener planted the branches in his backyard. In an instant, the slim branches grew into a new tree, and the new tree spirit was a continuation of the past one. For it is the god of moments who is able to take seeds from this moment into the past and the future. Oh, so was it the god of moments? The one that helped plant that tree? Mount Yogo? Must be. The 10th year of sun and moon. Abrax is long gone. The events before the sun and the moon have been recorded sufficiently. Well, if I did not dare write things down just as they happened, how could I consider myself a scribe of Tokuyo Okami? Hark, I hear armor without. Here, I shall stop writing. Okay, very interesting this thing. Arc. held branches on Fanes. His name is Fanes. Doves held branches. Dragon Lords of the Old World. So I guess the 7 sovereigns were dragons. And there was 4 shades of the primordial one. Okay. This text records the geography and hydrology of Byakuyokoku, with the sealing of the depths and the emigration of the people of Tatsumi, as well as the passing of long years. This book is now useless. The lands beneath the aphotic depths are vastly different from those on the surface, so to the extent that all surface-derived common sense must be abandoned down below. All we formerly knew of land and sea was given unto us directly by the heavens. In this new world of ours, we must begin groping, even for the simplest methodologies anew. Oh, you who come after and read these words, do not take the life you lead for normalcy. Even if after 100 or 1,000 years, people should grow used to life down here. Always remember, these days with neither sun nor moon are abnormal. Even if some sage were to draw us the sun, there will surely be filthy wretches who will borrow its light to cast long shadows over us. This book is intended to help people understand the world they live in, and to never forget our desire to return to the light. This book has been constantly edited, redacted, and modified over the years. Even the name of the book's title have been changing from Aphotic Earth to Tokyo-koku, before becoming Byakuyo-koku. Later, due to the grace of Watatsumi, the people of the depths would return to the sea surface. But it seems like Aphotic Earth has some special meaning, and it has not been universally changed throughout the text. Of wind and water. Byakuyo-koku has no mountains to speak of, so it is pointless to speak of them. However, our priests and sages have detected something. Even in the depths, the power of the undying wind and the waters will remain. The personification of the undying wind is known as Tokuyo Okami, and is poetically rendered the 1,000 winds, or the 1,000 winds of time. Water, on the other hand, is the might of the Vishap realm, represented by the baptismal Vishaps. Now, I've already developed a certain field of study regarding the relationships between sunfire, wind, and water. As such, both hydrology and the undying wind must be considered before undertaking any project of civil engineering. The borders of Byakuyo-koku. The borders of Byakuyo-koku are marked out by 3 corners. These mark the limits of the seesaw clash between humanity and the Vishaps. During the era of Byakuyo-koku, towers of the 3 realms were built at these 3 corners, used to harmonize the 3 realms. Their ancient names have been lost to time, and they were renamed after the coming of Tatsumi. These towers are exceedingly important, and they are not in locations aligned with either wind or water. Rather, their purpose is to stabilize the tendencies of the Byakuyo-koku and control its winds and waters. These towers were to be impelled, so would the entire nation. As such, they have been hidden using secret arts. Only the shrine maidens and vassals of Otatsumi can summon them forth. The Narrows. The Narrows were, in the earliest times, sandwiched between the mountain face and the area known as the Realmlands, thus earning that location its name. However, the exceedingly rare tectonic shifts in Byakuyo-koku caused the Realmlands to collapse into the depths, thus causing the Narrows to widen significantly. The Serpent's Heart. From the first time our ancestors discovered this place, they had already played host to a unique phenomenon in which space itself might overlap in a certain locale. Later, those who came before us would utilize this phenomenon by creating the Serpent's Heart. It would be used to guard secrets, imprison criminals, and to worship the great imaginary serpent, Ouroboros. In the earliest times, this place was called Delphi, the land of snakes. This name did not change even after the arrival of Watatsumi Omikami. Ancient art depicts the scaleless serpent as Ouroboros, and the coral-adorned serpent as Orobashi. Dainichi Mikoshi. The earliest name of this place was Helios, and it was the high tower built by the sage Abaraku, standing for earth, the element between wind and water. According to prophecy, this was likely the sun that the sage displayed, used to light those lightless caverns, and just as those prophecies suggested, it was also later used to cast a great shadow over the nation. Experimental records of the baptismal bishops. No bishops were killed in the writing of these records. Effective today, all experiments regarding the Dragonaires will be directed by Watatsumi Omikami in person. All files preceding the founding year of the Watatsumi calendar have been destroyed. Dossier serial numbers shall no longer use the categories Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, and Epsilon, which use the ancient Watatsumi tongue. Very Greek. Instead, we shall use earth, water, fire, wind, ether, and void going forward. Okay. All quotes and notations are to be written within quotation marks. The following order of writing should be observed: file header, serial number, subject, author. Author can be omitted, or the internal title within the research lab may be used. Usage of a researcher's ancient Byakoku/Enkanomiya name or modern Watatsumi Narukami Inazuma name is forbidden. These experimental records are not to be used for the writing of diaries, love letters, or fantasy novels. The Dragonaires, hereafter named Baptismal Vishaps, or simply Vishaps. Evolution is plain for all to see. Water 101, Dragonair Evolution 1. We have tried lowering the temperature in the living environs of a young heat-resistant Vishap. As a result, they were weaker once matured. We suspect that this is because his body did not possess the seed required to resist such an environment. However, his descendants would all possess high body fat, a greater predilection towards sleep, and would express the cryo element. Please refer to the experimental data of the plain text. The abnormal data derived from sample 3 is due to my assistant feeling sorry for the subject of the anti-hunger control group and feeding it surreptitiously. When we then place their descendants into smoldering conditions, they would again choose, like their ancestors, the heat-resistant trait. However, none of them have developed traits indicative of the pyro element thus far. We do not have enough data to reach a conclusion at present, but we can make an educated guess that baptismal bishops have the ability to awaken their seed freely before maturation. Bishop mothers can also create new seeds to pass on to the descendants should they encounter heretofore unforeseen challenging environments. It can be said that even before encountering us, the people of Enkanomiya, the baptismal bishops, had already stored a veritable armory within their bodies. The results of the intelligence testing are not astonishing. Void 207 Bishop Intelligence Research. Through a screening process consisting of rewards and punishments, although previous research indicates that screening is unnecessary, bishops are, one and all, adept par excellence. The linguistic capacities of bishops 4 generations down are starting to approach that of a 12-year-old human student. Perhaps it might be more accurate to say that bishops had always had their own methods of communication, and what they are displaying here is their ability to learn. They believe that these experiments should be stopped. If not, we may yet be proven narrow-minded for having dismissed that last person who wrote a fantastical tale about Vishap people. Prophecy holds that the dragon sovereign of water will be born in a human form. We must not let this thing happen in Enkanomiya. All previous attempts at grafting have failed. Void 907 Watatsumi Omikami's Special Orders 1. Because they cannot accept Watatsumi Omikami's blood, the bishops will fall victim to various adverse effects. Perhaps they are not yet strong enough, but we cannot be sure. Indeed, according to a rationalized bishop evolutionary roadmap, we should have already bred the strongest bishop possible. The grafting can be considered a success. Void 907 Watatsumi Omikami Special Orders 3. The rejection originates from the bishops having been beings of the light realm, also known as the elemental creatures, and thus being at odds with the human realm, of which Omikami and its coral vassals are a part. All experimental logs are closed. No experiment conducted here resulting in the death of any dragonairs. They all live to see the end of their days. Praise be to the Watatsumi Omikami, gracious and beneficent. A puzzle book for children of ages 9 to 12. As a book from a transitory period, it uses Narukami style names with Byakuyakoku subscripts. Question 1. What walks on 4 feet in the early morning, 2 feet during the day, and 3 feet at night? Answer. A bishop transforms into a person to attend a ball, then breaks one of its legs and eventually ends up walking with a cane. What? Sages like this answer the most, and it is the children get it right almost exclusively. For adults, it always smells like a horrible conspiracy when a bishop turns into a human. According to the prophecy of old, the dragon of water, the ancient lord of bishops, will definitely descend in the form of a human. However, for children, the answer to the question indicates a possibility of mutual understanding. It is not a good idea to make bishops sound adorable. Though such jokes defang the fear, they also lower the guard of the children. Dragonairs of the depths have evolved to wield the power of other elements, and have hence lost their purity. As such, the dragon of water will no longer be born from among their ranks. Dragon of water. What are the 7 sovereigns? Question 2. With only one mouth, this being sometimes has 4 feet, sometimes 2 feet, and sometimes 3 feet. Though unable to morph into other beings, he is able to walk on the earth, swim in the water, and fly in the sky. The more feet it walks on, the feebler it grows. What is this being? Answer. Human. Humans crawl on hands and feet as babies, walk on 2 legs as adults, and use cane as elders. The answer is undoubtedly a human. Question 3. What talks with only one mouth, but walks on 4 and 2 feet? Someone raising livestock. This riddle is a very ancient one. In the past, we could only understand the meaning of livestock from reading text. 4 legs refer to 4-legged animals like the ox, horse, and forest boar. After Byakuya fell into the ocean depths, these animals died out within 2 generations due to lack of habitable land and food. Since the arrival of Tatsumi Omikami, is this Atlantis? Some of us have returned to the sea surface to build a home and interact with the people there. Therefore, we have been able to review the names of these animals. According to the vessel in the Omikami's prophecy, we shall all move back to the sea surface someday. So it is important to get these names right. Ox means cattle, horse means horse, forest boar means forest boar. Question 4. Who are the 2 sisters who give birth to each other every year, every day? Answer: Day and Night, or White Knight and Evernight. This riddle is easy to understand. It alludes to the succession of day and night, which is Byakuya-koku, which in Byakuya-koku means the cyclical White Knight and Evernight under the control of the Dainichi Mikoshi. Though the land was in everlasting night before the Dainichi Mikoshi was built, the light of day that people had seen has remained unchanged. By the way, the 2 special astronomical phenomena of Byakuya-koku, the mirages and the sin shades, were at first indiscriminately referred to as eidolons, and seen as the 2 sides of the same coin. It was not until the arrival of Watatsumi Omikami that the people of Byakuya-koku were able to understand the 2 phenomena and name them differently. Though the sun did not shine upon Byakuya-koku, the mirages that appeared in White Nights were named Sunfire Phantasms, and those of Evernight Ghostfire Phantasms. As time went by, both of them came to be referred to as Sunfire Phantasms, for they are essentially the same thing. Question 5. I am the shadow born of the Lord of Light. I am a wingless bird that arises from the earth to the sky. Those who shed tears in my presence feel no sorrow in their bosoms. Bosoms? Probably. Away with a gentle breeze I fade, and thus ends my fleeting life. The answer is smoke. Birds are winged creatures, and it is normal that they are not seen in Enkanomiya. A father has 12 children, each then giving birth to 60 daughters of different appearances. Of them 30 are pale and 30 are dark. The whole family, knowing not death, will only fade away. Who is the father? Oh, the answer is the year. The people of Byakuya-koku may find the part about 60 pale or 60 pale or dark granddaughters a bit confusing, but everything will start to make sense once they crack question 4. There used to be a sequel to this riddle in ancient times. It roughly said that every granddaughter would give birth to 12 descendants, and each of them would then have 60 children. Every such child later would give birth to another 60, who would go on to have children of their own. This would continue until at last all the offspring would together give birth to the one and only primordial child, Tokuyo Okami, the mother of 14 billion years. All the offspring would together create one child? What the hell? Tatsumi Omikami forbade people from spreading this riddle. Appendix: historical figures, their traditional names, and Narukami style renderings. Kairos, Tokuyo Okami. Oh, so Kairos is Tokuyo Okami. Yes, Eris is Arisu. Abrax, it's Abraku. Sharon is Ka. Spartacus, Supada. Emma, something's Koi. Antigonus, Anti. Erebos, Eboshi. Echion, Eki. Udaeus, Uda. Asclepius, Suripio. So, yeah. I'm not gonna pretend that I get it, because I don't really understand too much. I will recommend you go and, if you're interested in it, go and look up someone that actually knows what it's talking about, because I have no idea. None whatsoever. See, it's so close. I'm just missing 40 pages. I don't know where to look. Well, it has to be in Inazuma somewhere, so I guess I'll start there. Let's end the day by talking with Paimon.
おいらの最高の仲間来たんだな。何か興味のある話題はあるか？一緒に話そうぜ。
Couplets. Couplets. Ayaka. Oh yeah, sure, why not? Talk about Ayaka. Looks so serious today.
今真剣なことを考えてるからな。
No, really?
おいら昔はお金持ちの生活に憧れてたんだ。使い切れないほどのモラがあって食べきれないほどのごちそうにありつけるだろう。
Well, that's actually what you want, so I can't, I can understand why you're jealous.
でも綾香と知り合ってからお嬢様の生活も大変なんだなって気づいたんだ。一族の使命と責任を背負わなきゃいけないだろ。それに全力で仕事を終わらせなきゃ自分の生活を楽しむ余裕もない。綾香は普段から苦労してるし、もっとリラックスした方がいいと思うんだ。あ、そうだ、次のお祭り綾香も誘ってみようぜ。オイラたちが誘えば綾香も断れないだろ。
Yeah, let's go to another festival.
それに綾香がいればオイラたちが遊ぶためのモラも全部。
I should have seen that coming. What did you say, Paimon? Trying to mess with me? Trying to mess with me, Paimon? Anyway. Yeah, I'll search for the pages my own time. Isn't that a bit weird that she sprints that way? Just thinking about it. Who the hell taught her to sprint like that? Was it Mona? It's probably Mona. Anyway. Catch you guys next time. Maybe tomorrow? Tomorrow I think I'll be getting into Honkai Impact. Might as well. I mean, I'm kind of excited about Star Rail. Yeah. So again to Honkai
刀は
tomorrow, and
技を支え匠は宝を有す
the day after, I'll also do Broken Age. Yeah, that's another game on the game list of games. Catch you then. Oh yeah, and then I'll do Genshin's event thingy on after that.